You know that feeling when you're scrolling through your phone late at night, maybe comparing yourself to your younger days, wondering when things started to change. Maybe you've noticed that what used to be powerful and impressive has become more of a gentle trickle, and you're sitting there thinking, this can't be normal, right? Well, here's something that might shock you. Nearly half of all men over 50 are dealing with this exact same issue, and most of them have no idea that it's completely reversible. What if I told you that the difference between shooting across the room, like you did in your 20s, and barely managing a weak dribble comes down to just a few simple changes that nobody's talking about? Stick with me, because what I'm about to reveal will completely transform your understanding of male sexual health. And by the end of this, you'll have a complete roadmap to getting that youthful power back. Before we dive into the solutions, we need to understand exactly what's happening inside your body, because this isn't just about feeling less powerful or less masculine. This is about understanding the actual mechanical process that's either working for you or against you. Your ejaculation system is like a complex highway system inside your body. And when everything's working perfectly, it's like rush hour traffic flowing smoothly at 70 miles per hour. But when things start to break down, it's like hitting construction zones, roadblocks, and traffic jams that slow everything to a crawl. Let's talk about what your ejaculate is supposed to look like, because this is something most guys never really think about until there's a problem. It should be whitish to gray in color, thick and viscous in consistency, almost like a gel. It should have a slight smell, but nothing overpowering, nothing fishy or offensive. The consistency should be somewhere between nasal mucus and something thicker, definitely not watery like skim milk. When it's too watery, that's your body telling you something's wrong. Maybe you're dehydrated. Maybe you're not getting enough electrolytes. Maybe you're ejaculating too frequently and literally shooting blanks because your body hasn't had time to produce quality semen. Or it could be something more serious, like a poor diet, sexually transmitted infections, or prostate issues. On the other hand, if it's too thick, almost clumpy, that's also a sign that something's off balance. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Ejaculation happens in 3 distinct phases, and understanding each phase is crucial to figuring out where your problem might be originating. The first phase is called the emission phase. This is where semen enters the urethra through the ejaculatory duct, which is basically a pathway that's embedded deep within your prostate gland. At the same time this is happening, something really clever occurs. The bladder neck where urine is stored actually closes off completely. This prevents urine and semen from mixing together, which would be disastrous for both the quality of your ejaculate and your overall sexual function. This closure also prevents the semen from traveling backwards up into your bladder, which is a condition called retrograde ejaculation, and it's more common than you'd think. Once the semen is in the urethra, it gets pushed further along the pathway. And then we move into the second phase, which is expulsion. This is the money shot, literally. This is where semen either shoots powerfully out of your body or oozes weakly, depending on the health of several key muscle groups and tissues. The force of your ejaculation comes from the bulbocavernosus muscles, which are wrapped around the base of your penis like a sling. These muscles work together with the broader network of pelvic floor muscles, and perhaps most importantly, the elasticity of your prostate gland itself. Think of your prostate like the elastic band on a slingshot. When you're young and everything's healthy, that elastic band is tight and flexible. capable of launching that projectile with serious force. But as you age, and especially if your prostate starts to enlarge, that elasticity gets replaced by rigid collagen fibers, turning your slingshot into more of a weak underhand toss. So what causes this transformation from volcano to sludge? The biggest culprit, and this is going to surprise a lot of guys, is structural obstruction. Imagine the pathway for your ejaculate as an on-ramp to a highway. The on-ramp is your ejaculatory duct, and it merges onto the main highway, which is your prostatic urethra. Now, if your prostate is enlarged due to benign prostatic hyperplasia, which affects the majority of men as they age, or if there's a stone present, or if there's inflammation within the prostate tissue, you've basically got a major road closure happening. Just like traffic on a highway slows to a crawl when construction blocks lanes, your ejaculate slows down or even stops completely when these obstructions are present. Here's a statistic that should wake you up. A study examined over 34,000 men between the ages of 50 and 80 who had enlarged prostates, and they found that 46% of them, almost half, had either significantly reduced ejaculate or no ejaculate at all. That's not a small problem affecting a handful of guys. That's affecting nearly every other man in that age group. And the crazy thing is, most of these men just accepted it as a normal part of aging, never realizing that it's completely treatable. Besides an enlarged prostate, there's another common issue called a urethral stricture. This is basically a kink or narrowing in the tube that ejaculate is supposed to speed through. If you've got a stricture or any other form of obstruction along that pathway, your ejaculate is going to dribble or ooze instead of being propelled with force. Remember that slingshot analogy. Your prostate is supposed to be the elastic band part of the slingshot. Its elasticity is what allows you to shoot your finish with impressive distance and power. But as your prostate gradually increases in size with age, that elasticity gets lost. Thick fibrous collagen tissue starts depositing in the prostate instead of the flexible elastic tissue, and that ability to create the slingshot effect gets replaced by a weak throw. Now let's get into the actual solutions, because understanding the problem is only half the battle. The first thing you need to do, and this is something you can literally do today, is check your medications. So many guys don't realize that the pills they're taking for completely unrelated health issues are directly sabotaging their sexual function. Calcium channel blockers for high blood pressure, drugs like amlodipine, can cause a whole variety of sexual dysfunctions, including weak or absent ejaculation. Alpha blockers such as doxazocin or tamsulosin, which are commonly prescribed for benign prostatic hyperplasia, can also significantly interfere with ejaculation. The irony is brutal. You take medication to help with prostate issues, and it ends up making your ejaculation problems worse. Antidepressants are another major culprit. SSRIs like fluoxetine, SNRIs like Cymbalta, and certain anticholinergic medications can all lead to ejaculation disruption. The good news is that for many of these medications, there are alternatives that don't have the same sexual side effects. You need to have an honest conversation with your doctor about this. Don't be embarrassed. This is your quality of life we're talking about. Ask if there's an alternative medication you can try that won't have these effects on your sexual function. The second step is so simple. It almost seems too easy, but it's incredibly powerful. Increase your water intake and decrease alcohol consumption. Your body is made up of about 60% water and your semen is obviously a fluid that requires adequate hydration to produce. When you're dehydrated, everything in your body becomes more concentrated and sluggish, including your semen. Alcohol is particularly insidious because it dehydrates you rapidly. That's why you wake up with a pounding headache. After a night of drinking, your body is desperately trying to rehydrate itself. This dehydration directly alters the consistency of your semen, making it thicker and reducing the volume, which obviously interferes with both the amount you produce and the distance it can travel. Here's something most guys have never heard about: the critical importance of zinc for ejaculation health. Zinc is absolutely essential for prostate health and semen production. You can get dietary zinc from oysters, which are famously known as an aphrodisiac for a reason. Pumpkin seeds, cashews, eggs, and meat. Zinc supplementation has been found in multiple studies to significantly increase semen volume and improve semen quality. But here's a crucial warning: if you're going to take zinc as a daily supplement, it absolutely must be taken with a small amount of copper, or you'll end up depleting your body's copper stores and interfering with copper absorption. Your body needs copper to make red blood cells, build connective tissue, and maintain proper immune function. So if you're supplementing with zinc or taking any multivitamin that contains zinc, make sure it also includes some copper, so you don't create a whole new deficiency while trying to fix this problem. Next, you should seriously consider a prostate supplement that contains Pygeum Africanum. This is an extract from the bark of an African tree, and it's been shown clinically to improve urinary symptoms and flow in men with enlarged prostates. Now you might be wondering what urinary flow has to do with ejaculation, and the connection is actually pretty direct. Urine and semen both flow through the same tube, the urethra. When Pygeum improves the flow of urine by reducing inflammation and improving the health of the urethral passage, it simultaneously improves the flow of ejaculate. It's addressing the same mechanical pathway for both fluids. Now we're getting into one of the most powerful interventions you can make, and it requires no pills, no supplements, no doctor visits. These are pelvic floor exercises designed to strengthen the exact muscles responsible for ejaculation force. Remember that bulbocavernosus muscle I mentioned earlier? It's wrapped around the base of your penis like a sling, and it sits on top of an intricate network of other pelvic floor muscles. These muscles must contract forcefully in order to send ejaculate flying. If they're weak or deconditioned from years of neglect, you need to strengthen them, period. These exercises are a form of Kegel exercises, but they're specifically designed for men to improve ejaculation force. Here's exactly how to do them. When you're urinating, try to stop the flow midstream. The muscles you use to do that are your pelvic floor muscles. Once you've identified those muscles, you can practice contracting them when you're not urinating. Hold the contraction for 5 seconds, then release for 5 seconds. Do this 10 to 15 times, and repeat the entire set 3 times a day. It might seem tedious at first, but over time, you'll build serious strength in these muscles, and that strength will translate directly into stronger, more forceful ejaculation. The best part is, you can do these exercises anywhere, anytime. You could be sitting in traffic, watching TV, lying in bed, and nobody around you has any idea you're working on improving your sexual function. Here's something that most doctors won't even bring up, but it can be incredibly effective for some men. Prostate massage. Now, prostate massage isn't for everyone, and it's definitely not something you should do without understanding the risks and contraindications. The theory behind prostate massage is that it allows you to manually stimulate and massage the pathways where semen is produced and discharged. Some of that semen might actually still be trapped in those pathways, creating a thick sludge that slows everything down. Toxins and inflammatory compounds may have built up in the prostate tissue over time, and massage can help improve circulation to the area, bringing fresh blood flow and oxygen to tissues that might have been relatively starved. Most conventional doctors aren't going to recommend prostate massage because the scientific evidence for its benefits is limited and somewhat controversial. They'll probably tell you it's not going to do anything significant. But here's an interesting historical fact. Doctors used to routinely perform prostate massage in clinical settings decades ago as a standard treatment for various prostate conditions. The practice has fallen out of favor in mainstream medicine, but many alternative health practitioners and some forward-thinking urologists still believe it can be beneficial. If you're interested in trying it, ask your doctor about it anyway. The worst they can say is no. But here's a critical warning. If you have suspected or confirmed prostate cancer, you should absolutely not massage your prostate under any circumstances. Massage could potentially spread cancer cells, so this is not something to take lightly. Now for the final step, and this one might actually surprise you. Stop ejaculating so much. I know that sounds counterintuitive when we're talking about improving ejaculation, but hear me out. Your body needs time to build up reserves of all the components that make up semen: sperm cells, seminal fluid, prostatic fluid, all the proteins and enzymes and nutrients that go into producing high-quality ejaculate. When you're ejaculating every single day or multiple times a day, you're not giving your system adequate time to produce quality, voluminous semen. You're basically running on empty, and your body is scrambling to produce something, anything, even if it's low quality and low volume. Here's what I want you to do as an experiment. Go through all the previous steps for 3 weeks straight. Adjust your medications if possible. Increase your water intake. Decrease alcohol. Get enough zinc. Consider the Pygeum supplement and start doing those pelvic floor exercises religiously. For the final 2 weeks of this 3-week period, I want you to hold off on ejaculating completely. You can still have sex, still be intimate, still do everything else, but practice control and hold back from ejaculation. Then on that 14th day, let it rip and pay close attention to the results. The volume and force are likely going to shock you. Your body will have had adequate time to build up substantial reserves. And when you finally release, you'll see dramatically better results than you've seen in years. Think about it this way. If you're withdrawing money from your bank account every single day without making any deposits, eventually you're going to run out of funds and start overdrawing. Your body's semen production works the same way. You need to make deposits, give your system time to replenish, and then when you make a withdrawal, you'll have plenty in reserve. The quality improves, the volume increases, and the force becomes significantly more powerful. Let me recap everything, because these steps only work if you implement them consistently and correctly. First, check your medications and have an honest conversation with your doctor about alternatives that won't sabotage your sexual function. Second, Increase your water intake significantly and cut back on alcohol, which dehydrates you and directly impacts semen consistency. Third, make sure you're getting enough zinc, either through diet or supplementation, but remember to include copper if you're supplementing. Fourth, consider a prostate supplement with Pygeum Africanum, or a comprehensive formula that includes saw palmetto, green tea extract, and other supportive ingredients for overall prostate health. Fifth, commit to strengthening your pelvic floor muscles with those exercises I described, doing them 3 times a day without fail. Sixth, ask your doctor about prostate massage and whether it might be appropriate for your situation, keeping in mind the contraindications. And finally, give your body adequate time to recover between ejaculations, especially during this initial improvement phase. If you implement these steps consistently over the next few weeks, you're very likely going to notice significant improvements in ejaculation volume, force, and distance. This isn't about trying one thing for a few days and giving up when you don't see instant results. This is about making a real commitment to your sexual health and understanding that your body needs time and the right conditions to heal and improve. The changes you're experiencing didn't happen overnight, and the improvements won't either. But they will happen if you stay consistent and give your body what it needs to function optimally.